Nerdly presents the feed where the reels unwind. Off the real podcast, digging deep in the grind. 80 flicks, low cash, big dreams in the frame. No blockbuster hype, just the realest in the game.
What is up, everybody? My name is Kevin Halden. This is Nerdly Off the Reel, and this is an Off the Reel review. Yes, today we are talking about Dream Hacker. Dream Hacker is a movie I'm quite looking forward to talking about because this is a director. This is Richard Colton. The Seven was a movie that I enjoyed with Dean Cain. That was a good movie. So I am well aware of what this director is good at doing, and what he's good at doing is getting those names that everybody kind of knows and you will have seen in many other things, and then you kind of see those names, you're like, oh, I like that guy, I'll go and watch that movie. This movie has a little bit of that, not too much of that, but a little bit of that. We're going to get into this. I'll talk about the plot of the movie. I'll talk about the cast and crew of the movie, what I did and did not like about this movie. Then I'll get into my Nerdly Presents Off the Reel review rating. Always have to take a second with that one. It is a bit of a tongue twister. I should have really come up with something a little bit different. So the IMDb synopsis is a bit of a read, so we're going to go through it. Due to her age, Professor Jennifer Connelly, not that one, is often described as a science prodigy, a genius of our time. With 5 PhDs, Jennifer's primary studies are in dreams and the effects that they have on the waking mind. For the past 6 years, her studies have led her to theorize that with the right equipment, she can not only watch and record someone else's dream, but maybe even influence them in a subconscious way. Right, that's a mouthful. That's a lot to work with. We don't necessarily need to go that deep. Let's just talk a little bit about how I saw the plot. So we do meet Professor Jennifer Connelly right at the start of the movie, and there is a joke made about the fact that she's not that Jennifer Connelly. She is obsessed with dreams and she wants to learn how people tick. But she has been working on a machine called the Indigo Dawn. Using the Indigo Dawn, she's going to be able to record people's dreams. She's going to be able to analyze them that way. This will be like a brand new, like cutting edge, world-changing kind of development. I'm not entirely sure why we need something like this, but I'll go with it for the sake of the movie. Professor William Hanson comes in, a man that she's known for absolute years, almost like a father figure to her. He may have the odd ulterior motive though, because when he does try the Indigo Dawn, he realizes something that she hasn't realized, and it's something that he's theorized for a while. So now he is going to try and take it from her to potentially weaponize it or potentially use it for a government thing. So Jennifer Connelly, she's now in this sort of position where she needs to prove that A, it works, B, it has good functions that will help, but also C, she needs to actually realize its full potential and see what she can do with it. When she goes into it for the first time proper, because at the start of the movie it's not quite working, but she's figured out the code. She goes on a bad date and then she figures out the code. I mean, that's kind of just what Will Hunting did, right? She figures that code out, she goes into the world, and then it's just this blank space, and she's met by Adam. He's kind of like Al from Quantum Leap. He's the person that's going to guide her through this situation. She shortly realizes that not only is she going into people's dreams, but she's going into their subconsciousness and kind of being in the real world as well. This is where the movie got messy for me, because I believe my understanding of the movie is that she's not just in their dreams, she's kind of living their life, I guess, which is strange, but she can only do it when they are unconscious. Then she realizes people are after her because they want the machine. Obviously the Professor William Hanson, who's a bit of a dickbag, he's got these people that want the machine as well. And there's a whole lot of things going on in this film that will serve to kind of confuse you a little bit, but stick with it because it is pretty cool. Let's talk about the cast and crew. Professor Jennifer Connelly, let's start there, played by Molly Hanson, an actress I'm not 100% familiar with, but I did like her. I really did like her in this role. She portrays it really well. There are times where I feel like she's trying a little bit too hard, or she's putting on a bit too much effort, but that's because there are other moments where she's kind of talking to Adam that feels sort of effortless, and there's these emotional core coming through when she's talking to Adam that I really liked and I was really on board with. But then there are other moments where I'm just sort of like, You don't need to be trying this hard. You're doing a pretty good job as is. Professor William Hanson is played by Gary Webster. Gary Webster is a Richard Colton regular. I believe he's been in just about everything they've done together. I'm pretty sure he's also a producer on this movie. I did like his motivations in the movie. I understood his motivations in the movie. And when you realize that actually he has this theory where he kind of knows a little bit more than actually Jennifer knows, I like that. We didn't really explore that in any great detail. And then we do get a little bit of a twist towards the end of the movie that I kind of did see coming and didn't see coming because I didn't really want it to happen, which is weird. Charlotte, who is played by Marina Sirtis. We all love Marina Sirtis from Star Trek fame. Marina Sirtis is absolutely just a wonderful actress. So when we get to see her in movies like this, and it's great that we do still get to see her in movies like this coming through and kind of putting in these roles that, I don't know, maybe a while back you maybe couldn't have got her in this kind of film. But here we have her now, and it's fantastic to see her. And no matter what role she is in, she's always giving it at least 100%. And that's all you can ask. We also have Glynis Barber in this movie as Sue. Sue is a patient of Professor Jennifer Connelly's, but also has this little thing going on with the Professor William Hanson, so there's like a little connection there. She doesn't have a great deal to do in the movie, but it's so cool to see her in there. Again, David Yip, absolute legend of a man, comes in, does what he needs to do. He's a bit of a dickbag in the movie as well, but we don't mind him for that, because it's David Yip, and he's awesome. Someone who I do really like seeing in movies, especially right now, we saw the Viking film, The Last Exorcism, Hannah Bang Benz. She plays Candy Ann Evans. This is the woman Professor Jennifer Connelly kind of goes in and sort of takes over. So we don't get a great deal of Hannah Bang Benz. We kind of just see little bits of her, and then Jennifer Connelly kind of takes her body over and becomes that character. But towards the tail end of the movie, she does get a good chunk of stuff to do, and I really liked her in the role. A little bit too much on the accent, a little bit too hyper, but it's always good to see Hannah Bang Benz in a movie, and I love seeing her in there. Luke J.I. Smith as Adam. Yeah, he's probably the breakout of this movie for me. I really did enjoy what this actor was doing with this. He is essentially an AI character. His voice does sound like a lot of ADR over the top afterwards, which is completely fine. I don't mind that because the character he's playing, he's very cool, he's very calm. He plays that kind of robotic voice when he needs to play that robotic voice, but then also is a little bit human when we absolutely need him to be. Some of our favourite low-budget indie Brit stars, Cameron Jack is in there. You can always count on Cameron Jack to play a little bit of a rough and ready gangster. Tony Fadil turns up. It's cool to see Tony Fadil. I think he was also a producer on this movie as well. I'm sure I saw his name in the opening credits. Always good to see Tony Fadil. It was nice to have him sort of like in this Miami kind of setting, messing about with these gangsters, but bringing that British accent to it. I did really like seeing Tony Fadil. He does come a little bit of a cropper at one point, but to be fair, it was just good to see him in there. Ayvianna Snow is an actress we know and we love, and we'll champion her to the absolute hilt. Gets a nice little cameo in a sort of like, you know, the old Avengers, not like Avengers as in Marvel, like Avengers as in John Steed and Emma Peel and all that kind of thing. She does this little cameo kind of thing on the TV where she's playing a part in The Revengers, and actually suited the role really quite well. So I was kind of like, you know what, give me an episode of that show, give me a short movie of that, I would absolutely watch that. Ayvianna, I'd love to see you do it. Sean Earl McPherson from one of my movies from a couple of years ago, Future Soldier, that I really enjoyed. He pops up in this movie as well. I did quite like his character, a little bit different, a little bit off the wall, and just a little bit fun. So what I did and what I didn't like about this movie, I do like the AI world that they go into. There's sort of like this, I don't want to say limbo, but it's kind of like, you know, in the Matrix when you have the train station, which is sort of like in between the Matrix and the real world. This is kind of like Richard Colton's version of that train station, where she can go in there and it's where she sort of gets herself ready for the mission that's coming up, and Adam gives her some of the exposition that she's going to need going forward. It's a really cool little situation, like a forest kind of thing. I also really loved towards the tail end of the movie, we end up at London Airport and we're doing like exterior shots of London Airport, which I thought were really cool, but I did kind of think to myself, how are we going to get around this? How are we going to film in London Airport? Well, when we go inside, it's a very, very familiar place to me. I spotted it straight away, but that's because I've been there countless times. Yeah, it is the Mercury Mall. I love the fact that this low-budget, independent British movie is able to go somewhere like the Mercury Mall, which is where the Romford Film Festival is every year. And I love the fact that they can go in there and actually make it look like a working, functioning airport. Like, unless you've been there, you would never have known that this was like a mall or a shopping centre. You would never ever have known that. It does look like an airport. I think they've done a fantastic job with it. I think it looked great. It was awesome to see. And as soon as I did see it, I was like, oh my God, that's there. So that was cool. I like that. I like that a lot. That is something that I really like. What I didn't like is sometimes it's a little bit too pleased with itself, if you know what I mean. Was she in their dreams? Was she in the real world? Was it all subconscious? There are some scenes in there that I think just went on for a beat too long. Like the conversation and the exposition we were getting, I thought, okay, I've got the point of what this scene is trying to tell me. Can we just move forward now? That's my problem, though. Nobody else's. And I do like dialogue. I am Captain Dialogue when it comes to my movies. But this one, I just felt some scenes went on a tad too long, in my opinion. Another thing I really liked was the cinematography. They made London look gorgeous. The start of this movie, when we first open up and we're going around all these different... It looks fantastic. And I'm just like, wow. I love seeing London when it looks gorgeous. And this movie, 100%, every time you saw parts of London, and even when we go over to Miami, I don't know if they doubled up London for Miami. I'm not sure if they went over to Miami. I'm sure I saw somewhere that they did some location stuff over there, which is absolutely fantastic. But just everything looks gorgeous, looks sexy. It does look slightly futuristic, but also very real for right now. And I can appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I might as well just do my final nerdly off the reel review rating, and yeah, I'm really torn here. Part of me wants to give it a 3 because I do have some issues, and we'll talk about that in a second, but also a part of me wants to give it a 4 because it did so many things really, really right and did everything that you would hope a low budget kind of independent movie would do. So I am really torn. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop a 3.5 on this. You turn a shopping mall into a bloody airport, a fully functioning airport that looks just awesome. So I've got to give you that. You've brought in these actors that have helped elevate this project and helped bring their name to the project, which I'm assuming makes it easier to get out there. And they all put in reasonably good performances. Are they going to win awards for this film? Probably not. Is anybody going to win awards for this film? Probably not. But what this movie does right, it does very right. I do have my issues, which is where it gets knocked back down a little bit. And that is that I thought the story was a tad convoluted towards the end, a tad out there. I thought there were certain aspects that you didn't really need. You could have shaved a good 10 minutes off this movie. It's only an hour and 43, but I feel like we could have left 10 minutes on the cutting room floor because there are some scenes that go on a little bit too long. Some scenes that I almost forgot I was still in the scene, and then when somebody got up to leave, I was like, oh shit, yeah, we're still in this scene. Like, I was almost just a passive watcher at that point, which is not really a great thing for your movie, and it's not something I want to be saying about my movies. Tighten it up a little bit is all I would say. I do think people should check it out. I think people will like DreamHacker. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. I think it's saying some good things. And I think really it's worth a watch for anybody who's into this kind of movie. But I think everybody in this is doing a fantastic job. I think everyone involved has done a fantastic job. Don't take my 3.5 as a bad thing. It's 3.5 out of 5. It's a great little piece, and I hope everyone checks it out. So yeah, please do go over to nerdly.co.uk. I'm sure people over there will have reviewed this as well. Check out their reviews, see what they think, and come back and hit me in the comments if you disagree with anything that I've said. That is where the conversation will continue. I really do hope that if anyone involved in the project sees this review, you don't take this as too much of a negative. I do think you've done a great job, and I would love to see what you do going forward. I will 100% be keeping an eye out on all that stuff. So yeah, that's me. I'm out.